Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome once again to another edition of the Volpe Bazzo Report. I'm your host, Dominic Volpe. With me once again is Andy Bazzo, the other co-host. And special guest tonight, Eric Johansen, newly appointed Chief of Police here in the city of Peekskill. Congratulations, Eric.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes. Thanks for having me.
No, well, you kept your word. You were the first interview when you were nominated for the interim chief, and you said you would be back when we wanted you. And you kept your word.
I'm happy to be here.
Now, this is not a political show, folks. And just to give a quick little homework, remember, every week you can find my column in the Yorktown News. And by the time you see this show, we'll be talking about political corruption in the paper. Now, Eric, I'm glad you're here. And like I said, we have a new day in Peekskill. I've noticed a few things that you're more proactive with. Like this morning, I go on the computer, and on Facebook from the Peekskill Police Department, you're looking for somebody that committed a crime, and you want the community to get involved in helping you. Can you tell us about this?
Yeah, we put out a photograph that was captured from a surveillance camera of a suspect that we're actively
for
seeking.
burglary.
Yeah, for possession of stolen property. And we're appealing to the public, and we're leveraging all of our resources, and one of them being social media and Facebook.
Now, how about the citizens? Can they friend you? How would they friend this police department?
You can simply go on Facebook and search for our page, Peekskill Police. City of Peekskill Police, and
City of Peekskill Police.
Yes, send a friend request, and we accept everyone. We're friends with everyone.
How many you got now?
We've got over 5,000.
Wow,
we're pumping away.
They all want to be your friends, huh?
Yeah, you know, it's nice. I mean, we can reach 5,000 people with a click of a mouse, and then all of their friends. So it really is a great tool for us.
And so this is so you want to really be proactive involving the community, because I'll say this: down at the train station about 2 weeks ago, these place cards were in all the windshields. Can you explain these place cards?
Sure. We've been distributing the place cards throughout Peekskill in different neighborhoods.
And what are
they? It's a public awareness campaign on car break-ins, and just letting people know how they can protect themselves from becoming a crime victim as it relates to their car.
And how can they, in case they didn't get the car? What are you telling them to do or asking them to do?
You know, believe it or not, most car break-ins are not that. They're simply people who do not lock their doors, and someone comes along, sees something of value inside, curiosity piques them.
Crime of opportunity?
Opportunity, absolutely.
That's what they are, crimes of opportunity.
You know, most stolen cars that we've encountered are people that are leaving their car running unattended, running into a deli or into a gas station, and leaving their car for a moment. Somebody sees an opportunity, bam, they got their car. So,
I had my car stolen once. They asked me if I saw the guy. I said, no, but I got the license plate.
That's good. So, but simple things that sometimes we take for granted. Protect ourselves and harden your target. Make it difficult for someone to victimize you, and they'll go on to someone else, and hopefully they'll go on out of Peekskill.
Now, one third thing before I let you take over.
Okay.
No, because this just happened the other day. Down at the trains, in the taxi stand, I have the local taxi company, and I'm down at the taxi stand, and I noticed a blue duffel bag under one of the stairs. And I noticed it was there for a couple hours. And so I called Eric, and I said, what should I do? Because I feel like a fool. I mean, and I said, but if something did happen, I'd be more of a fool.
Right.
So now this is what people should do. Tell them what they do, what you told me to do, and what people should do, and why.
We should all be familiar with this "See Something, Say Something" campaign, and anything that piques your interest is somewhat suspicious should be brought to the attention of law enforcement, and one should never feel foolish about calling the police.
So it's not a waste of, that's what I'm saying. You're not wasting their time.
We can always start at the top and de-escalate. It's very difficult to take care of something after it's happened. So, there's a very famous campaign that's both on television and in print, with backpacks being left unattended. We know the tragic
but we're not just talking
circumstances
about
of Boston.
backpacks,
No,
suitcases,
anything. I mean, people don't leave behind valuable assets. You might be doing them a service. Maybe they did leave something, honestly, and you find something.
But like I said, I felt like a fool, and I bet you that, because I got to figure that pack is in a place that other people saw it and didn't call. how do you emphasize to them they shouldn't feel foolish?
You know, we were at the train station a couple of weeks ago handing out flyers, you know, encouraging people to do just this, and that is to notify law enforcement of suspicious activity. Never feel foolish. It's simply something that must be done. It's the era we live in today. It's unfortunate, but we need to remain vigilant and proactive and protect ourselves.
Just looking back at recently, we had the Boston Marathon bombings there, and they found out that it was backpacks that were left unattended right outside in front and a couple in the back. So, yeah, I mean, if someone had been, I mean, naturally it's a ruckus, it's a big event, so who's really paying attention? But if someone had gotten to it early, you look at the lives and look at the limbs that could have been saved at that point. You never know.
Very true, Dom.
Yeah.
You know, unfortunate that happened. I mean, simply tragic. But could it have been avoided? I don't know. It's very difficult to say. But
I don't think that's difficult to say. I'll tell you why. Because my column this week, that's be already out before this show airs, I talk about this particular thing. See, in New York, I don't think that could have happened because you saw the Times Square bomber. Mm-hmm. The guy saw a truck in Times Square idling. Nobody leaves their truck idling in Times Square unattended. It was suspicious. He called. They're very on their toes in New York.
Right.
I said the third main culprit in the Boston massacre, in my opinion, was complacency. Because it's so far removed from 9/11.
Right.
But New York, it's never removed because you've had how many scares, how many things that the city of police department, the New York City Police Department stopped before it happened. So they're always on their toes, and the people in New York are always on their edge. But the farther you get away from the epicenter, I think complacency.
You bring up a great point, Andy, and you know, it's very important to point out that in just about every situation where law enforcement was able to successfully thwart an imminent attack, it started with a member of the public bringing it to law enforcement's attention. So you have to remain vigilant.
Don't look at me. Tell them.
I'm
Tell
telling everyone.
them. Look at the camera. Tell them.
You need to call the police and involve law enforcement anytime you feel that something is suspicious. The worst that you could be is wrong.
Now, this interacting with the public that I've noticed more now since you were promoted from lieutenant to lieutenant. I saw the change there. Is this something that's comes with the younger generation of police versus the older generation that had another way of doing? Not that their way is wrong, but you use the social media now, and you get out more where a lot of the older guys didn't. Is this something that comes with being younger?
Well, I think you're more. You can relate to it more. You can relate to technology and technological advances, and you have to use it. You must involve the public in the way that they are engaged in life, and the public is engaged through their computers and
now, what about
and
the
their
other end? Do you
smartphones.
teach the people under you to?
Absolutely.
That's,
in
I mean,
fact,
are they
it
trained?
goes both ways. A lot of times the younger cops teach me. So
Really?
I think that was the question I was going to pose, actually. Being Gene Tumalo had been the chief of police for how many years now?
he was chief for 19 years.
For 19 years, and I'm probably a former patrolman officer leading up to
He was
that.
in for over 30 years,
44
right?
years or
So
so.
the question is, from his generation to now your generation, I mean, can he approach the computer in the same fashion you can, the internet in the same fashion you can? Is that the new scope going forward with your police department?
Of course you can, and my predecessor, Chief Tumalo, was you know, he embraced technology as well, and he was at the forefront, and it's my intention to continue to embrace it. And again, we have to use our resources, and some of our best resources are our younger police officers and what they bring to the table. So we do that and engage the public.
I mean, I didn't want to call Gene a dinosaur in any
We're
stretch
all
of the imagination,
dinosaurs, you and I.
but I mean, I look at me and let's say the interaction that I have with the computer compared to my children, and it's not even close. I mean, it's, so I can
Was it
imagine,
for your children, you'd have no interaction with
probably,
the computer.
Probably not.
I used to, it was the VCR, program the VCR for my parents, and I can still do that. I don't have a VCR any longer, but I ask my kids. I have a 12-year-old son who helps me with a lot of the things that are available today.
So it's an asset, and you're going to have to use it to the
Absolutely.
You
advantage.
said something just interesting here that I just picked up on about the younger cops. So you listen to them too.
Oh,
I mean, they're not just the newbies, and you actually do listen to them.
Yeah, I try to listen to everybody, filter out some of the bad and some of the good. But with the police officers, you have to.
You're not even 45 yet, right?
No, I'm not.
That's what I'm saying. So you can still relate to when you were a rookie, because you were a rookie basically when I started driving a cab.
Yeah.
You were not that far removed from being a rookie.
Well, yeah.
But I'm saying you're not far. You're close enough to it that you can understand their position, and maybe they're a little. So you welcome them to come to you. Is what I'm saying.
You have to listen to those in the field. The guys that do, the worker bees, are the ones that are going to have the better ways of doing something. If you shut them out, you're missing an opportunity.
Sure.
So
and they're still your eyes and ears. Not only as the public, but so is your officers.
But I'm just saying, because you're not that removed from your beginnings, do you think that plays a part in it, that you still remember?
I would think so, but I hope to never lose that. I mean, the longer you're here, will you lose it? It's possible, but the idea is to remain connected to those around you and to listen.
Now, like I said, we're taping here on May 1st, and you have a function tonight called...
We have a fundraiser at the Firehouse Grill for our Safe Streets campaign.
Right. I know you're not going to make the fundraiser, but I want to know about the Safe Streets campaign.
Again, this is involving the community.
Now, this is not just Peaksville. Anybody in the other communities can help you with the Safe Streets, right?
Absolutely.
So that's, let's...
So we are holding a fundraiser, looking to raise money to support a gun buyback program that will be taking place in the very near future, and to also be to fund a tip hotline, which we will actively seek tips for illegal guns, and the recovery of any illegal firearm will lead to a monetary reward. And we're also looking to give rewards for information leading to arrests and certain criminal activities. Again, involving the public, giving them a little bit of an incentive to do so, and we're appealing to the public to help us raise funds.
One thing we talked about off camera, and I said sometimes people are intimidated because it's a small town. It's still, I may say city, but it's a small town. Everybody knows each other, so now you're guaranteeing anonymity for those that turn in the illegal guns, right?
Oh, absolutely.
And there's no repercussions no questions asked,
no
right?
questions.
But
Complete
what I'm
amnesty.
trying to say, because we're showing from 684 all the way down to North Tarrytown. We're saying that if you really want to be anonymous and you got something you want to turn in, they can still bring it to you even though they're not a resident of Peekskill.
Look, guns don't, they know no boundaries. A gun in Hastings could absolutely end up in Peekskill and used in a crime. So
you're saying whatever you got, or you're in our listening area, if you can bring something in, if you want to contribute, you're welcome.
Absolutely.
This is not just Peekskill centric.
Correct. The money to support the program is certainly welcome, and then when the program is launched, the unwanted guns, the people that do not care to responsibly own a gun, we encourage them to turn.
Well, like when my father died, my mother had one of the South Carolina cops drive her to the police department to turn in Dad's guns because she didn't want to be seen on the road by accident, even having the gun, even though they were licensed to my father. So one of her neighbors was a South Carolina cop and says, "I'll drive you, Fran." Right. He says, and we'll turn it in.
Yeah, you bring up a story that comes to mind that happened here in Peekskill. A firearm was used in a crime, nearly killed somebody. We traced its roots and found that it had belonged to a retired police officer who had passed away. The spouse of that officer held onto the gun because she didn't know what to do with it. She ended up giving it to someone who performed some work on her home as payment. She has since passed away, and it remained in the community illegally for a number of years.
Right.
Had she and nearly killed somebody. Had she had a mechanism to dispose of it properly, we very well would have prevented that crime.
That's what you're setting up now, the mechanism to dispose of it properly.
Yeah, you can't. Obviously, you simply can't throw a gun in the garbage. You need to know where to turn it in if it's unwanted. And
to emphasize this again, this is purely anonymity. There's no
complete amnesty. There is no questions to be asked. The weapons won't even be traced.
The weapon.
The weapon won't even be traced. It'll be disposed of and never fall into the wrong
hands. And it doesn't
hands.
matter how old the weapon is. We're not just talking about new weapons, but some older firearms that people keep from the war.
Right. There is no restriction.
Okay.
Would you say the second part of this is also community outreach, it sounds like, because, whether your predecessor tried hard to really do community outreach, but now that you're in there, you're new, so you want to start to develop a relationship with the community, even though you've already got one. It shows kind of that you really want to extend it even further, because you realize if the community is comfortable with you, in the future, if something happens, if something occurs, it makes it that much more easier than to correspond with you or your officers in the police department.
Absolutely. We are a small enough community that there's no reason that any member of our community shouldn't know who its police officers are and feel comfortable with them.
Right.
And you know, that's together. We're all stakeholders in this community, and we can all make it a better place to live.
Can they buy you a donut?
I don't need any more.
Well,
donuts.
no, I hearken back to, like,
I'll take an apple.
Okay.
You think of West Side Story, and not to bring that in, but remember Officer Krupke?
Yeah.
You know, everybody knew Officer Krupke on the corner. I think that's probably one of your. Is that one of your goals? Is really, get your police force involved with the community
That's
so
the
that they're
community
comfortable.
police program.
Yes,
right?
and our community policing division that we have is limited in the number of officers assigned to it. My goal is to have every officer assigned to it at some point.
And not just to write parking tickets, actually to interact with the business. No, I'm not.
We
I'm
have
not
to
serious
enforce
now.
laws, but
no, I said, but it's not. That's
No.
not the impetus. It's to interact with the businessmen
Our
and
goal is-
women, the business owners.
Our goal is to solve the problems that are presented to us, and we have many ways of doing it.
I've seen you guys go into the stores to talk to the owners. What do you want? What do you think we should be doing? That's what the community program is. It's not a community program of writing ticket. It's to interact with the
Correct.
community on the street.
All right. In addition to
Directly.
being the guardians of the community, we are here to be the
I
problem
wasn't being
solvers.
sarcastic about the parking ticket,
No.
but all that's what people see. But that's not the impetus
No,
of community policing.
no. The impetus of community policing is to solve people's problems and realize that
Before
when-
they really become a
Correct.
criminal
But
problem.
when police get involved in a problem, we have a vast amount of resources available to us to solve those problems, and we have that ability. So, well, we're more than happy to do it. That's our role in the community, and that's what we're here to do.
What is the? Unfortunately, we're airing probably after the fundraiser.
Right, but
If anybody wants to send any donations, any funds to you, is there a certain address that you have? Is it to the police?
Yes,
can
we will take donations. We prefer a check made
Ma-
out to the City of Peekskill Police Department, and in the memo portion of the check, if you could write "Safe Streets,"
Okay.
And that way we'll know
now, what
where to
about
properly
turning in the
direct
gun
it.
after this initial program goes? I mean, who do they call directly to please? I got a gun. I want to
We
turn
will
in.
always make arrangements to accept unwanted firearms.
But they could call, say, I got a gun. I want to turn in. It'll still be treated with the anonymity.
Absolutely, and beyond firearms, we take unwanted, expired medications.
That's where you're jumping. I was just
know-
going to ask that because that was just online this week.
We did. We
You're
had a very successful campaign, and we took in several boxfuls of unwanted medications, and there's no
Now, what are we
telling.
talking about unwanted medications? What do you call them? We're not talking
Prescription
about,
medication.
Right. We're talking about like painkillers, the stuff that
Painkillers.
people get high with.
Exactly. Painkillers are certainly at the top of the list. Other controlled substances. These are items that, when they fall into the wrong hands, can really have tragic
Now, what
consequences.
if it is actually like meth, or not meth, but ecstasy? Will you still take that anonymously if somebody says, I want to turn in this?
And and we have.
I'm asking.
We've had parents find drugs in their child's room, and they don't know what to do with it. They can bring it in. There's no questions asked.
Again, no
Get
question.
it
You're
off
not
the
going to
street.
ask the parents to rat out their children.
Absolutely not. That wouldn't be.
And again, this could be in any community in our listening area that can
Yeah.
bring this in.
Certainly can.
That's what I mean. We're not Peekskill centric.
You got to be careful. I mean, if you have some illicit narcotics in your possession, or you find them, you risk bringing them to a police station from crossing community to community. If you got stopped, and there could be a problem. So, a phone call in that situation.
I mean, they
might
would
be
call
better.
first thing with the gun. Like I said, they
Right.
could still call and say, I want to, and then you would make the arrangements either to pick it up or have them bring it in, right?
Correct.
So, like I said, even if they're out of, you would do something. But the important thing is people should know that the anonymity will be maintained. They're not going to have to rat out their relatives. They're not going to have to
No.
rat out their children or anything.
We're
like
not
that.
looking for signatures. We're not looking for phone numbers. We're not looking for information.
You just want the
We want
items.
the product, and we want it
Right.
off the street so it doesn't fall into harm's way.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I mean. And people saying this isn't important. And you said it was a successful initiative in the
Very.
beginning, right now.
Very, and it was nationwide. I know we did our little part, and judging by what we did, I'm sure across the country it was very successful.
Do you have any going forward now? You're now the new chief. What do you see as, do you try to make a connect with Yorktown, their chief, Cortland with the state
Do
police?
you play well with others?
Yeah,
I
in other
absolutely
words,
do. It's funny today. I'm going to Westchester County Chiefs meeting that we meet monthly. It's all the chiefs from Westchester County, chiefs and commissioners. We go over items of concern for all of us, and we have a very good relationship. I meet regularly with the district attorney's office on a monthly basis and go through items that are of importance in the county and surrounding counties. We have a vast network of people available to us that we all draw upon.
Now,
you
personally deal with the council on a regular basis, to the Peaksville's
I
government.
attend every council meeting. I have a great relationship with the mayor and council, the city manager. We all have the common goal of making Peekskill a better community, and that's what we're thriving to do. And we work very hard and diligently to accomplish that.
Now, I got to ask you a question, because Gene had all the fun installing all the stop signs. Are there any roads left that you have a stop sign placed for? Because it seems he got all the good roads.
I'm telling you, if I put a stop sign up, my father's going to have something to say.
I mean, really? I mean,
No, we all
is that
kidding
the new
aside.
status symbol? I mean, every neighborhood wants one.
Listen, there's a lot of different issues that different people have, and traffic is one of them. Speeding through neighborhoods is one of them, and stop signs are a way to control speeding vehicles, and they have their
do
purpose.
like Yorktown and put speed bumps.
Speed bumps are another way, but they come with an expense.
I know,
and,
but Yorktown, they had to remove some because
yeah,
people
so-
started getting complaining.
There's no magic pill that can solve everyone's problems, but when we do know about the problems that people have, we try to be attentive to them, and we try to work through the problems, through the situations that people bring to our attention, and solve them.
How big is the police force now in Peekskill? And historically, is it at a high? Is it at a low? Or are you right about the same number?
In terms of history, we're about where we were 20 years ago. We've been higher, we've been lower, so we're probably right in the middle.
Right in the middle.
Yeah.
But
Now-
are budgetary constraints naturally an order of business as far as how many you're allowed to hire naturally through the mayor and the common council?
Right. They set the budget, and we anticipate hiring someone this year again, putting them in the police academy. We're canvassing the civil service list now, so we do anticipate putting at least another officer on. We're looking at some grants that have become available to hire more police officers. We will be very proactive in applying for those grants and trying to increase the size of our patrol force.
What are the grants? So those are usually like they set a sunset provision where they say we'll pay like a partial portion of the salary for like a year, 2 years, 3
Right.
years, and then at that point it becomes then fully funded by city taxpayers.
Correct. Right now, we're looking at one that provides 75% salary for 3 years,
See?
and it's specifically for a community policing program. So
Oh, gotcha.
I think we're well positioned to
Take advantage of it.
take advantage of it and apply for it. Yeah.
Now, you also applied, I've seen you do this, you have the, where you're at the exits on the parkway for seat belts, you apply for that, you have the bike, do you still have the bike patrol?
We in fact today, bunny money we call it, Buckle Up New York money becomes available May 1st, and that money we certainly shared in that windfall, and we will be putting out extra traffic vehicles and bicycles to enforce seatbelts. We also get selective
So you
traffic
you
enforcement.
still have the bicycle patrol?
We do.
Because
You
I
will
knew
see
for
it.
a while that
You will see the bikes out. I'm a firm believer in them. It's a great outreach program. You'll see those out. We're putting 2 officers in a motorcycle school, so we will be back to full strength with our motor officers very shortly. We're about outreach and taking down barriers. Sometimes, patrol cars are convenient. They get you places, but they also
now,
present a
talking
barrier.
about barriers, Peekskill, and this is not meant in any, but it's a home of a very big Hispanic community. Do you have an outreach to that community?
We absolutely
Because you
do.
get a lot of them that are afraid they get robbed, and they don't want to tell you they got robbed, and they become easy prey. Now, I think that's changed a lot, right?
Absolutely.
But there was a problem for that for a while.
We've gone out into the churches and different community organizations that are popular with the Hispanic population. We've assured them that we are here to assist them when they're crime victims or with any of their issues. And I think we've made major inroads. We've made a lot of friends. People trust us. I asked a question at one of the outreach meetings where people were saying they were afraid of the police and afraid they'd get deported, and I asked them to raise their hand to the number of people that had that experience where they had contacted the police and found themselves in trouble, and there was not one hand. So it's through those kinds of initiatives that we can make better friends in the community, and we've done that.
Well, would you say, and I don't want to use this in a negative way, meaning as they're become more Americanized, if you want to call it that, they're becoming more comfortable. Right. They're becoming more comfortable with the way, in a sense, life is here in the United States. So I think they're understanding that it's maybe you guys aren't against us or against
Our
them. I should
police
say.
is not the police they're used to in their
Right.
home
The
country.
police,
could be.
the
Well,
police
whatever. I
role
don't-
in the Peekskill community and in the most communities in New York State and the country is very different than the police role in some foreign countries
Correct.
that they may be used to.
Right.
So, yeah,
The
we need to
presumption
get that
of
out there.
innocence is unique to American culture.
It is.
And so when people come from another culture, they don't understand that you start with the presumption of innocence.
Very true.
Right.
And that's
Very true.
unique. Now, you also have a presence at the council meetings. Now that, and I don't want to get into details, but that presence is now for the safety of the citizens, correct?
Oh, we're there
And
we're there to protect the orderly flow of government.
Because you want people to have their right to speak.
Absolutely.
And that's the idea, is that everybody should have their right to speak and nobody should monopolize it.
That's right, and again, it's to remain to maintain orderly government, and that's our role in that. And I think
Right.
we do. A
But
fine
you're not
job
there
of
to
that.
silence people.
No,
I'm just
no.
saying it's not there as an intimidating factor in the respect that people have a right to address their government, and you want to make sure everybody gets that share of that right.
Yes, the Peekskill City government has been very vocal and
Oh,
very
God,
accommodating about that and keeping one's rights to interact with them, and they do that, and we're there to assist in that process.
Well, that's good because I've always I write conservative, and I believe that people have a right to speak to their government, and I don't think the government should shut them down. And I never thought, and I've been to a few of the meetings, and I said, you're not there as an intimidating force. You're there to remind you, get out of line. We're here. We don't have to wait to get here. We're here.
Kind of like a referee during a game.
Right, you're the ref.
It's
It's like you go to court, and there's a court officer. It's the same.
Right.
It's a similar circumstance.
Now, compared to quickly, I want to wrap
Yeah,
this
we're
up.
almost done. Yes.
I just want to wrap this up quickly. And I've always said that your officers have a little bit tougher time than the surrounding areas because you have a much more diverse community. So when you're looking through the civil service for the next hire, do you look for people with that experience in working in more diverse communities?
I think that's very important to get somebody from a diverse cultural background, different socioeconomic background, one that has experience. Yes, that's
one day we
important.
could be like Cortland and have no crime because they don't have a police department. So obviously there's no crime. And now to close out the show, I want to tell people and he's not going to do this, but Dominic Volpe has decided to re-enter the political arena as a candidate. And next show, we are going to discuss this with Dominic, but I want to let you know that he has re-entered the political arena as a candidate for the Cortland Town Council. Is that correct?
Correct.
And that's all I want to say about it. I want to give people a heads up, so stay tuned for the next show when Dominic and I get to grill him on the issues facing. Now, this is what I say. What say you?
I say welcome Eric Johansen to the City of Peekskill Police Force as well as
Thank you, Chief.
Good
Now
luck.
you'll be back?